grew up in a French-speaking
Yeah.
side of town. Did you go to like an English-speaking high school in Canada?
Yes, I did. Yeah. So my family's mostly all English. They just decided to move to Montreal. So I was able to learn both languages. So yeah.
Nice. Bilingual. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, so with our youth mentorship podcast, because some of our young viewers are in different parts of the map, if I say things like Baltimore, Maryland, or I just have to be real specific because some of them they've never heard of those kind of places. So bear with
Okay.
me. Now, share a little bit as far as growing up in Canada. I know it's probably Quebec area. I don't know if you're in Quebec, or like a suburb of it.
So I'm basically in Montreal, so one of the big cities in Quebec. It's pretty cold here. Of course, the winters we get a lot of snow. Our summers have been pretty good. Just growing up, I was lucky enough to be able to speak French, learn the French language, and just meeting all kinds of people with everything. So yeah, it was pretty nice growing up in Canada, learning all different things.
Are your people Italian?
Yeah, my family is Italian too. Yeah.
No, they like as far as like Italian Canadian, or they still like celebrate certain Italian customs, like that's really like deeply ingrained.
Um, they're Italian Canadians. My great grandparents were from Italy, so that's how it all came. But my family's still very traditional with all that. We carry a lot of the Italian traditions into everything. So we still carry a few of those, which is nice. And I can bring that over to school too. So I tell all my
Nice.
teammates a few things. So yeah.
Nice. Hey, you don't have American food without Italian food. So um share with us your intro into gymnastics and kind of, obviously you fell in love with the sport, and it's probably a little bit of a love story in a way, but kind of share with us how you got into the sport overall.
Okay. So basically, I started gymnastics when I was 4 years old. Like a
Okay.
typical thing. My parents found out that I had way too much energy. They couldn't keep control of me. I was running around the house, doing little things on the couches, and they were like, okay, we need to find a sport for her to do. And I was a super short kid too. So they were like, she can't really go into hockey because hockey, of course, is Canada's sport. So basically, my dad still wanted me to try out skating. So I used to be a figure skater. I used to do gymnastics and figure skating. So I started gymnastics a bit after figure skating, and once I was saw the foam pit, that's when I knew I was like, I want to do gymnastics. That's my favorite thing to go into. So that's when I started really getting into it. And after a few courses, I was able to move on, and the coaches were like, okay, let's try a competitive level. So I was maybe 6, 7 when I started doing like the little competitions, the little girl competitions. And since then, I just fell in love with gymnastics, like just swinging on the bars, doing the beam floor. It's such a different feeling. Like you feel like you're literally feel like you're flying, you're swinging. So that's what I really liked about it. And then it came to a point where I had to choose between gymnastics and figure skating. And obviously, I just fell in love with gymnastics, just
Hmm.
to think like the opportunities it gave me. And yeah, so I can,
Okay. So
yeah.
you had to, kind of make that choice. Interestingly enough, some of our student athletes that have been on this podcast, they started out with multiple sports. And as they approached right in between high school and college, they felt they had to make a choice in order to focus on
Yeah.
one thing. So that makes sense.
Hmm.
Now, take us on the transition from um, secondary school up until the college recruiting process and your choice of college, how you ended up in
And
Towson University, Maryland.
okay. So basically, I was an elite gymnast back home in Canada. That's completely different from college gymnastics, which is more elite as individual. And then once you get into college, you have a team with you. So you're competing with the team and for the team. That was one of the adjustments I had to get used to. But doing elite gymnastics, that's when you have to throw the hard skills. You have to really just try to see how many skills you can get in, like all the difficulty you have, just packing all in one routine. Whereas college, it's perfecting your skills you have, perfecting the routine you have, just to help the team with the best score you can get. Um, So during high school, I was able to compete all over the place. I did a few international competitions. I did Canada Games, which only happens every 4 years. So I was really lucky to be able to represent Quebec with that. So since then, after Canada Games, which was in 2019, that's when I started my college recruiting process. And no one really no one told me how stressful it was, which was something I was going through, and I was like, oh my gosh, like I did not know how stressful this process was. I was so
Intense.
anxious. I was like, am I going to get like a phone call? Am I going to get an email back? So of course I started throughout the year looking at my options, and it's always hard because you really want to choose like one that you're going to call home because you're there for the next 4 years. So it took time, but I found Towson through a Canadian girl. Actually, she was on the team, and I was looking through it, and I was like, wow, it's not too far from home because I didn't want to go too far out either. So I was happy with that. And unfortunately, I couldn't go visit the school because that's when COVID hit. So I had to do all the Zoom meetings online, and then I went with, honestly though, talking to all the girls and the coaches, I was like, I really like Towson. It's a nice place near Baltimore too. So really, I'm just happy with it because now it's my home. I had teammates that are now my sisters. So just being able to talk with them and anything, they're literally always there. They always have my back, which I'm very grateful for. But yeah, honestly, the college recruitment process, it just takes time. You can't rush anything. Just keep posting and it'll come.
And you made a very good point when you said, you're going to be there for at least 4 years.
Yeah.
So, for our young viewers, especially our high school student athletes, that's something to, keep in mind while, you're making your choices. Just remember that at the end of the day, you have to be on that campus. So take that
Yeah.
into serious consideration.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent point. Um, Now, obviously you've seen some different parts of the world, through gymnastics competing. Did you get a chance to kind of go sightseeing a little bit in between competitions?
Yeah, I mean, we were able to, but we were really there to focus on competition. We didn't really want to get our minds distracted. I'm like, oh my God, we're in this place. We get to go visit, it's vacation. No, so our coaches were really, they allowed us, we went to go visit. They took us on a few little trips, but honestly, once it's there for competition, you're there to really focus. And then after competitions, if we do have time, we'd go out, check out the cities and see what they have, the food. So yeah.
Nice, nice. Um, Now, obviously, making I wouldn't say the jump, so to speak, but making the jump from Montreal to the Baltimore area.
Mhm.
Was there like a culture shock when you like went to order coffee at a Starbucks that, did the barista ask like, where are you from?
Honestly, I had a few people ask me, you have a French accent a few times. They'd look at me, they're like, "Oh, you're not from here." Like, "No, I'm not." But honestly, I think since being there for 2 years now, I'm starting to get used to a bit more things. But it's just weird because being from Montreal, everyone does speak French. So I'm always used to ordering things in French. So now I get to Baltimore and I'm like, oh, I can order things in English now. This is so fun. So that was like one thing. But honestly, there hasn't been too many culture changes. It's just, of course, COVID that kind of ruined a few things. So honestly, just getting used to all the adjustments with that. But thank God, finally now things are opening, and we can enjoy our college experience how it is. So yeah.
Yes. Um, Taking a little shift here. With many of our student athletes and even our pro athletes, obviously it's a youth show. We talk about the plus side of everything, but at the same time, there's also maybe not necessarily a dark side, but a dimmer side to the sacrifices behind the sport. So, was it March that you suffered your injury? Tell us a little bit about three things: injury, recovery process, and mental health.
Yeah.
Heavy, heavy.
Yeah, it is a touchy subject now. So basically, I did get injured in March. It was a little bit unexpected because I never really had big shoulder problems. I got injured on my shoulder, unfortunately. Um, and it was doing my favorite event, which is the uneven bars. And I guess my shoulder was not happy that day, and it decided to just not want to work anymore. So I tried a lot of rehab before making that jump into saying, okay, I need to get it fixed. So we took a few, like 2-3 weeks just to really get it strong and take a rest on it. But unfortunately, it just did not help. So I did make that decision that I thought would be best for me because I still have 2 years left and I want to be at the top shape and still be able to compete for my team. So I did decide to get the surgery. The recovery was a lengthy one. It's a 6-month recovery, but however, with that, I was able to rest up my whole body and mentally too. It was once gymnastics, the season starts, it's every single weekend and even with preseason. So it does take a toll on you, especially when school starts. You have a few things to keep in mind. You can't wander off. You really have to stay focused. So I think with that, it helped me a lot to like mentally calm down, refresh my brain, focus on school, and also be there for my team. So right now I'm at 5 months, 5.5 months. So I should be back and play once I get back to school. I was able to do a lot of rehab every single week for 2 to 3 days a week just to get that strong. And I work a lot on my lower body and cardio because that's one thing I want to keep up and even like improve. So when I do get back, that won't be a struggle and I feel stronger. Mentally, it was it took a big toll on me because this is my first big injury. It was very hard, but like I said, I was grateful enough to have my teammates supporting me, my coaches, my athletic trainer. They were always by my side. They'd always check in on me. So I'm just grateful to have them and to be back. I know they'll have my back because it won't be an easy comeback, but and it's very doable. And I know
Oh,
I'm motivated
yes.
enough to come back to it and really compete again because gymnastics, like I said, it's the sport I've grown into and I love it. So honestly, just being able to come back it's going to be great. So these next 2 years seasons, I'm just so excited and I can't wait to get back on the bars. So yeah.
Well said, well said. And we've had athletes, kind of share their rehab stories. And, the consensus with that was they learned more about themselves. They
Mm-hmm.
worked a lot more on their weaknesses and they
Yeah.
became better all around athletes as well as better all around people once they, finished the whole recovery process. So it can be done and it will be done.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Now, on the lighter side, this question usually stumps most of our guests, 99% of our guests. So here goes. If you were coming up with a life story movie thus far, the Amanda Pedicelli story, who would play you? What would be the title and
Um, honestly, I really love Reese Witherspoon.
why? Okay.
She's I love the movie Legally Blonde, of course. Honestly, at first I was a bit confused with that movie, but as I kept watching it, I really understood what the point was that you can achieve anything you want. Like for her to become a lawyer. And that's where I kind of stood there because I keep watching that movie and I was like, wow, she fought for what she wanted and she knew to become a lawyer. So basically that's what I kind of go into what that kind of connects with me is that nothing came easy. Everything you have to work for everything. Nothing comes easy for you. So like I said, with her like working hard to what she wanted was basically like me, even with the setbacks, you work hard and you'll have good outcomes. So I really like her for that. She has such a strong character and personality. So that's where I kind of like I love her a lot. And probably for a movie title, it could be Never Let the Setbacks Take You Down. It's one
You
thing,
can
or
go
even
with
chasing dreams too, because when you're young, you just want to make those dreams come reality.
that.
So,
Mm-hmm. And this segment here was much needed because some of our, young female viewers, they send DMs and oftentimes they typically want to come to America and they want to pursue higher education, sports on the big scale. And it's better for me to show than to tell. And today I've had you on the show. You made the jump from you know, from Canada to here, even though the nation's border, it's still making a jump. You're
Yeah.
going through your recovery process. Earlier in the morning, we had a female boxer from Great Britain, and she's also in the Army. She's a machine
Oh
gunner. So,
wow.
you know, you ladies are really rocking right now. You ladies really are getting the ball rolling. So much appreciated.
Thank you.
Now, what advice, and just give it to us raw and uncut, what advice would you have for high school gymnasts that dream of getting college scholarships and competing at the college level? Raw and
Oh,
uncut, the good and the bad. Give it to us.
right in. I would say do not dwell on the past. Dwelling on the past hurts you inside more than accomplishing your things. That's one thing I struggled with is do not dwell on the past. Always think about the future and what comes upon you and all the opportunities you get. It's always one day at a time. Cannot jump, you cannot dwell. All you do is keep focusing, go in there with a positive mindset. That's all you need to do. Positive mindset, you know you can achieve your goals, and just go in there, be happy, be grateful for what you have. Honestly, that's what, even with COVID, just be grateful you're in the gym to get time to practice and just getting better, bettering yourself at all the things and perfecting every little inch you can get, because you never know what could happen and all the opportunities come when you work hard. So I would say just do not dwell on the past because it will hurt, but all the accomplishments will come. I'm telling you, just work hard. So
Well said. And are you able to kind of like summarize that in a little bit of French for our French speaking audience?
yes. Um, un peu d'avis pour les jeunes. Je veux juste vous dire de ne pas penser au passé. Pour vrai, juste penser au futur puis les jours qui s'en viennent. Pense pas au passé parce que vraiment, là, ça te brise plus à l'intérieur que ça te ramène l'accomplishments. Juste pense à toi, rentre dans le gym avec des sourires. Pense pas des affaires qui vont te briser à l'intérieur. Juste un jour à la fois, puis avoir des sourires sur votre face. Puis c'est ça. Yeah.
Merci, merci. Shout outs to Montreal, shout outs to Towson University, Baltimore County, and shout outs to you, Amanda. Continue being a role model, whether you notice it or not. Continue to represent for yourself, your family, and the young ladies that are coming after you. Thank you for coming on the show.
No problem.
Continue blessings.
You too.